G'day legends, welcome to the Thursday Sesh on Celtic Down Under. I'm on my own this week, so hope you'll enjoy the show. It's probably be a short one because, I'm not going to be able to fill it as much time as I do with the usual. So what I want to do is start off with, it's just give a shout out one more time to the boys at the Ange Postecoglou CSC. Had a great night there watching the Glasgow Derby on the weekend, so two thumbs up to you guys. Top bloke, great group there, so check them out if you're in Melbourne. On top of that, we're just going to do the usual, plug the socials which are on the top of our screen here. So at Celtic Down on Twitter, Blue Sky and Instagram, and Celtic Down Under, you can search that on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look for our boxing kangaroo logo. And the last one is celticdownunder.com. If you go to our website, there's merch on there. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's drink bottles, a few other things here and there. So yeah, I'm going to be updating some of the designs on there in the next few months, so keep an eye out on that. But yeah, just wanted to make this pod as interactive as possible. So what we want to do is I want to have some viewer Q&A as we go along in the pod. So open slather, it's the old ask me whatever you want on the pod. It can be football related, it can be anything stupid, have a laugh. Let's just put some silly stuff in there and see how we go. Got a couple of talking points about Celtic related stuff, preview the game against Hibs, and yeah, we'll see where the night takes us. So yeah, thanks again everyone for tuning in. And what I'll do is I'll get into it. So Andrew Galea, how are you, mate? Absolutely ripper. Thanks for tuning in, Andrew. Happy days. G'day, McLaughlin. And John, as always, great to see you in the comments. Appreciate it. You're tuning in again. So yeah, we're gonna we'll start off the pod pretty simply. So earlier in the week, Celtic were announced they're going to play against Newcastle United in, I think it's the Adidas Cup without a trophy in the preseason and game at Paradise. So the thing on that one I look at is they're going to be charging approximately £25 per ticket per adult. Now, I want to know from those tuning in what your thoughts are. Should this match be included in the season ticket for the fans so they can go to it? Or do you think it should be open and anyone can buy a ticket and pay the price and go along? So for me, I can see both sides of this. If the club have lifted your season ticket price and then don't include this, it seems a bit rich to be asking people for more money. And if they kept the season books at the same thing and then wanted more money, I still think in this cost of living crisis, it's a dumb thing to do. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there's probably going to be more Newcastle fans there than there will be Celtic fans if that's the case. Because yeah, back in the day, I know when I first started supporting the club and early days before the podcast and all that, you'd always get one or two home games in the preseason, and they'd be included in your season book. So yeah, I just think it's a bit of a rip-off, and you need to read the room. If the kit prices have gone up year on year the last 3 years from 50, 60 quid a pop to 75, 80 quid a pop for a top, and now you're looking at your season tickets are going up and up and up, and now they're wanting to charge for this, plus all the Champions League money. You can only imagine what they'll charge for that next year. I just think they're trying to, get blood from a stone here. There's only so much they can. So yeah, I'll bring up McLaughlin's comments on this. So he goes, I'm a season book holder and I ain't paying 25 quid. And then yeah, McLaughlin's saying what I've got here, should be getting 2 free friendlies on the book like we used to. I didn't know it was 2. I knew it was 1 or a couple. Like some seasons there'd be 2, others there'd be different. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And McLaughlin saying, just killed myself financially paying the $6.90 for the season, and the boy wants a new strip next week. I don't envy you, mate. I'll tell you what, I think for us over here, Celtic TV's a rip where works at about $30 a month at least, or 30 quid a month or something like that to watch a game on TV. And then you want to buy a top. Last week I bought my wife a Casper Schmeichel top this season, name number on the back, and there wasn't much change on $200 Australian. So yeah, it's just getting really, really expensive. So yeah, I don't envy you at all there. Yes, we're in the safe zone now. We're past the 5 minutes. So Craigie White, I can So this are treating the fans like arseholes. Yep. So it's gonna be an interesting one to see how it all plays out. I don't think there'll be a lot of happy fans with how that's playing out from what I've seen. So yeah, Andrew's saying Celtic TV is beyond me, unfortunately, and yeah, I have to agree with you. I used to pay for it back in the day, and it was an absolute the service you got back then when it was cheaper, right? It was a cheaper service. It's cheaper, but you got highlights. You got all the stuff on the YouTube channel. You used to get that on Celtic TV before it went on YouTube, so you could kind of justify it. Now I look at it and go, the money they're charging for Celtic TV, if they showed all the men's games, all the women's games, all the B team games on there, and then they did proper pre-match, halftime, post-match shows on it, and then they could just pad the channel out with extra stuff, so like an on this day, and put an old match on there. You could do something like that. The club's been around for, geez, what is it, coming up on 140 years in about 3 years' time. So realistically, there's plenty of games you could put on there. Chuck a Lisbon Lions game on there. Chuck a Quality Street game on there. Chuck some of Martin O'Neill's team games on there on this day. Or you could do a thing, birthday Celts or something, because I know they used to do it on Twitter all the time, and put the highlights of a guy whose birthday it is. He used to play for the club on the channel. You could do so much more to make Celtic TV better than it is, and then I could kind of justify it. But in this current climate, it makes no sense. This question here from Smell the Glove. I thought you guys started 11 a.m. Celtic Park time. That's what we do on Monday. On Thursdays, we go half an hour earlier because we usually have the guys in New Zealand on who are pushing 10 o'clock by the time we start. So by the time we end, it's almost 11 p.m. over there. So, yeah, we go earlier, the half hour earlier on a Thursday, and then 11 a.m. to park time on the Monday. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We'll see how that all plays out there. But, yeah, I've got a couple more things here, so I'll chuck a few comments in there, random ones. So, I asked for some questions. Oh, here we go. My wife's getting into the mix here. Hail, hail, and where is my lip gloss? It's probably on the coffee table in front of you. Have a look there. I'm sure that's where it'll be. There you go. Good fun. And then John's asking, have you any aspirations to get over to Glasgow anytime soon, bro? There's room at my inn for a fellow Athenian anytime. Thanks for that, John. I think it's going to probably be November, not this year, next year is when I'm aiming to get over there. So going to get plenty of time to plan it, get the flights as early as possible, so make sure we get the ones with good leg room and everything else, and go from there. So probably about 18 months away or so from getting over there, but that's the plan anyway. Now, hail 420 somewhere. Yeah, heavy vibes, like I was saying about Celtic TV. Could pick a season and show every game. 100%. That's the thing. So, yeah, and Andrew's saying about this here. I'm sick of paying multiple platforms to watch my football. SPFL 1, Scottish Cup and another for Champions League, another one for A-League. Yeah, send us a message, Andrew. I'll hook you up, mate. I'll tell you. I'll give you the tip from down here that I've got. The boys in Singapore, CSC, hooked me up. Henrik McLaughlin, mate, don't be pointing it out to everyone, then they'll all know. Yeah, and then Pete McGee saying I only get to a game a season, maybe once a season if I'm lucky. And that's thanks to the massive help from my son using flights, hotel points, even when we have to buy hospitality tickets costing hundreds. Yeah, and then you've got Craigie White saying, like Celtic TV when Peter Grant's on. And then JD88 is saying, everything increases every year. It's a joke, 20 quid for a ticket against Cork City, 25 against Newcastle, 75 for the home strip, not to mention TV subs, Sky, TNT, Premier Sports to watch the Cup. Yeah, I still find that absolutely ridiculous what you guys over there have to go through, like with the whole TV license sort of thing and having to pay for a certain amount of fee for, you know, your Sky and your TNT and your Premier and all these different channels like that. Like, it's nowhere near as bad as that over here. Like, we have pay TV, we have our streaming that we choose to have. No one forces you to it, and then you got our free-to-air TV. So if you want to watch your A-League over here, you can watch like 1 or 2 games a week on free-to-air. You don't even need to pay for that for anything different. And then if you want all the others, you get Paramount, which is your streaming, and all the games are on there. So it's a hell of a lot easier. And Paramount over here shows the Scottish Cup games. So then that helps us out with that as well. So I think you guys are getting absolutely rorted with that whole TV deal thing as well. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then Henry McLaughlin, brother and sister, always offering me their ticket, but with my shift travel costs, can't afford it. And then Pete saying I pay for Sky, but can't then also pay for TNT Premier. And then we've got a few comments here. So gave up my TV license. I'm going to go to this one here. Smell the glove. I'm getting to the stage of joining up with the dodgy Fire Stick crew just to get ripped off following the rules. Mate, each to their own. I was talking to guys at the CSC on the weekend, and they were swearing by it. So, yeah, I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. But, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. Yeah, so, and then Andrew's saying the NPL is free on YouTube. That's over here, so that's always good. So, yeah, there's a bit going on that front. So there's always, everything's just piling up, getting harder and harder. But the things you do for the team you love, I suppose. So, yeah, we'll go from there. Now, for those who have tuned in and missed it at the start, I want to do some Q&A sort of stuff. Can be Celtic related, can be football related, anything. Throw some stuff in the comments, random questions, whatever, and I'll get to them as we go through the pod just to have a bit of fun and, mix it up a little bit. So another story I saw in the last couple of days was that Gustav Lagerbielke has said that he wants to stay at FC20 after the completion of his loan deal. Now, apparently FC20 are wanting to sign him for less than £2 million. Celtic paid £3 million for him when we signed him from Borg in Sweden. So apparently FC20 is saying that Celtic are pricing them out of a move for Lagerbielke because we're wanting more than the $3 million we paid for him. You know what I say to Lagerbielke and FC20? Too bad, so sad, mate. It's pretty simple. Like, we spent $3 million. Why should we take a loss to get rid of you? Because you didn't cut it at the club. If he's done well in Holland, that's put him in the shop window. If someone wants him, pay up or piss off, basically. That's the way I see it. So, yeah, we're going to get rid of him, but I want us to get our money back for him. Like we did it with Bernabé. We made money on him. So if we made money on Bernabé, we should be making money on Lagerbielke. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one there. Got a question here. Is from Craigie White. Is anyone getting worried about Dazen's future? Not really. He's got 2 years left on his deal, so he's at that point where he's at peak value in terms of performance and everything, but he's also at that spot when you're 2 years out, you should be extending or selling so you don't lose value on him. So he's pretty much, from a financial point of view, Dazen is at that spot where we either need to extend him or sell him. However, I can't see us selling him because he brings too much to the team. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. He's just about to have his 3rd kid. The talk is he doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to go back to Japan, from what we're hearing. So, yeah, I think we're just going to have to ride it out. We'll get him. I reckon we'll find a new deal. Paul Galani saying no, he's here to stay. And Henrik saying, yeah, I think he may be off. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how we go. But yeah, I hope he signs a new contract. There's 2 people in particular that need new contracts at the moment. One is Brendan, one is Dazen. If we can get those 2 signed up, happy days. So Celtic are being linked with a move for free agent goalkeeper Ross Doohan. The Celtic Academy product would be an additional player for the UEFA homegrown quota if we were to sign him. And the talk is that Bain potentially wants to leave the club so he can play because he's got 1 or 2 years left in his career. He wants to actually play football. So if that's going to happen, it's not really going to help us much for the UEFA quota because it will give us another club. You got to have 8 what's called homegrown players, 4 association trained, 4 club trained. Well, next season the 4 club trained the ones we currently have are, well, we will have Tierney back, we'll have Calmac, Forrest, and then the other one is if Doohan comes back, that's 4 club trained, which is fine. That covers that. Stephen Welsh was one of the club trained this year. So it depends on what happens with him. We may need to replace that. But then if Stephen Welsh goes, does Dane Murray step up into that spot in the squad and fill that 4th spot anyway in the 25-man squad? Could happen. So it's going to be an interesting one for us to see how that all plays out. So yeah, the fact that we're looking at a 3rd goalkeeper situation at the moment makes me think the club is very, very happy with the current situation between the 2 goalkeepers in front of them. But I'd be hoping that we're actually doing some other work as well in the background in terms of wingers, striker, midfield, centre backs, left back, all the good stuff that we need doing. There's probably 5 or 6 positions we need to do something with. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one to watch that over the next little couple of weeks and see how it all plays out. So I'm going to get to a few more questions in here. So what do we got? Simon from Denny is saying, yeah, Jared, do you think Rodgers' contract might affect the club's spending in the transfer window? I think Rodgers is playing it really well. He's not going to sign a new contract in the offseason because then he's got the club over a barrel. Like, you want me to sign, you want me to extend and stay at the club, you need to back me again like you did last year. If I need a player and it's going to cost $9 million, it's going to cost $10 million, you're going to pay up. Otherwise, I'll walk at the end of my contract. So it's going to give him a bit of negotiating power. And then once he can see the club is still going to continuously back him year upon year upon year, then he might sign up and extend again. I hope he does. But Rodgers has said in the past that his shelf life at a club is usually about 3 years. So we're going to watch this space. But yeah, I don't think Rodgers' contract is going to affect it negatively. I think it's going to affect it in that if they want him to stay long term, they're going to back him, and we'll be able to figure out a lot based on how backed he is in the transfer window. What else have we got in here? So back to something we were talking about earlier with the matches. Pete McGee, a ticket exchange system would help me enormously, I think. I'd love for the club to bring something like that in because nothing shits me more than watching the game on TV and it's a sellout and there's like 20,000 empty seats or 10,000 empty seats in the stadium. And I look at it and go, yep, I understand people can't get to all games, like the travelling support coming from Ireland struggle to get across to the midweek games when they got work the next day and so on. But if you had those tickets available and say it costs you 28, 25, £30 a ticket, for instance, per home game for the season, you can't make it, a ticket gets sold, then the club pockets half and you get £10 back or £20 back of that money for every game you can't go to off your season book the next year. Not only does it help get seats filled and allow people like myself and other Celtic fans who live outside of the country and it's hard for us to get tickets to go to games, it gives us an avenue to get tickets and go, and it helps people with the cost of living where if it's £690 for the season for your season ticket, if you miss 3 games and you can get 45, 50 quid back off your season book next year, it's going to help at least some level. So yeah, ticket exchange would be ideal, I reckon. So let's scroll through to a couple more comments here. Andrew Galea, with us needing another winger, will Tilio get a chance now he's fit, and did we miss one with Milanovic going to Aberdeen? Okay, one for the Australian football. Tilio, he'll be playing in Europe next year, but I think we'll be loaning him out somewhere else, put him in the shop window. I don't think he'll be at Celtic. I honestly don't know if Rodgers rates him or not. If there was another winger in the A-League that I think would be perfect at Celtic is Nishan Velupillay from Melbourne Victory. Big, tall winger, can play left and right side. He's just made his international debut. Here's one that would be perfect to come in and could be comfortable backup for both Jota and Kun. And, yeah, I think he'd do a good for us. Milanovic is going to be really good for Aberdeen, but, yeah, I don't even think he's the best young winger that we've got in the A-League. I think Velupillay's better. So we'll see how that plays out. Henrik McLaughlin, have you got your fingers crossed for Ange or not bothered? For the sake of Ange's health, I hope that Tottenham get rid of him at the end of the season because he's got that look about him when Ange was at the Socceroos and he had the media piling on him every week and qualified for a World Cup and then he walked out before the World Cup and then went over to coach Yokohama Marinos in Japan, right? He was very, very looked gone. He didn't look healthy and he looked really stressed. And that's the look you're seeing from Ange at Spurs now. It doesn't matter what he does. He just looks stressed, right? So I think that he's at the point where he's too good for that club anyway. So I reckon they'll get through. They'll win the Europa League. They'll beat Man United. Ange will win a trophy in his second season, which he always does at a club. And then he'll be like, okay, now pay me off. See you later. You want to get me? I'm going. The other thing you got to factor in at Tottenham is Scott Munn, the Aussie guy, was like the director of football who brought him in. He's just been given the flick as well. So, yeah, I don't see Ange being back at Tottenham next season. And I hope he gets a nice chunky payout from him after winning the trophy. And he'd do well. Say, I said it previously, but say if Xabi Alonso moves on from Leverkusen, that will be a perfect role for Ange. Go be in Germany. Go be in Italy, something like that. No, it's probably Italy's too slow. Actually, it's a different style. But yeah, Germany, Spain maybe could work for him. I'd love to see that. Now we're talking about the winger situation before. McLaughlin's, I'm worried, would be left with Palmer, Young, and Forrest in the summer. Yeah, it doesn't seem pretty. Forrest, club legend. Palmer and Yang, yeah, we'll see what goes on there. Talking about Dazen's contract. Pete McGee saying, just ask Dazen how much do you want and then give it to him. Pretty much. Craigie White is with Jota out. Good uncertainty. We have a lot of work to do in the summer. We sure do. Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a bit of, the papers are going to do anything they can to try and unsettle us and make us think that things aren't going to plan and we're not doing enough. And you're going to hear all these stories about the San Francisco 49ers coming in and spending copious amounts of money at Rangers, even though they've got an FFP, financial fair play stuff sanctioned and they can't really do much. But you're going to hear about how amazing that club is and they're spending all this money, yet they're signing free agents, and then we're out there spending 10, 15 million, on two players, and people are like, oh, we're not doing enough. Thanks, John. When I was talking about the club trained ones, Ralston, how could I forget the Bricky? Probably because I'm on my own and I'm just rambling. Shane will be jealous with the waffling going on here today, I'll tell you that much. Sure do, Jerry. Sure do. Got my own show today. Yep. Willie's been up since 3 a.m. So, yeah, he's had to pull out. Heavy vibes this summer. The board had to get the big, strong, fast players Rodgers is crying out for. Yep. Sure do. So what else we got here? Sorry about the dead air, everyone. I'm just trying to find. Here we go. Henrik Molassen said, I think most players want different challenges in their career. It won't just be about the money. Yeah, I know. So it's going to be a interesting sort of situation. See how that is. Andrew Glare, do you think Celtic will look at the young 17-year-old Leonard at Western United? He's very talented and Celtic mad. So from what I've heard, his parents are Scottish. He wants to play for us. Club could do a lot worse than look at him. But the problem is he can't make a move until he's 18. It's the same with there's a young striker, Melia, in the League of Ireland. I think he's going to Tottenham, but it was out of us in Tottenham for him, and he's signed, but he can't go anywhere till he actually turns 18. So even if we signed Leonard, he'd still be here for another year. Yeah, so I'm just having a look here. Yeah, Smell the Glove saying the ticket exchange has to be brought in before thinking of stadium expansion. 100%. Tilio a bit lightweight. He's a bit small, but yeah, there you go. And then the comments when we're talking about Ange previously, Andrew Galea saying Ange will win Europa and give him the arse. Pete McGee's Ange is leaving, win, lose or draw. He said so as much as I believe. So I want him to win at Spurs, yep. Ange will definitely get another gig. And this is exactly it. Smell the glove. I hope Ange wins the Europa. The next press conference says trophy in second season done. Mike drops and quits. That would be perfect. Smell the glove saying I'm concerned Bernardo will want out in the summer since Brendan always plays his three favourites every time ahead of him. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. The fact that we've got probably domestically we've got 5 starting level midfielders for 3 spots. What we need to do, Andrew, you're saying we'll have to hide May out of the summer. There'll be plenty wanting him. Whatever we do, we just send them Lewis Palmer with a Dazen mask on. Does that sound good? I like the idea. So, yeah, we'll go from there. So I'm going to go to this comment from Pete saying, do we save players for the cup final and risk seeing our 17-point gap dissipate? And Henrik McLaughlin sums it up exactly how I'm thinking. Huns will drop points too. I think we'll be fine. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. Now, it's a good thing you brought that up there as well, though, Pete, because the next thing I wanted to talk about was Kasper Schmeichel is nearing his return from his shoulder injury, and with the form and performances by Sinisalo in his absence, would you be looking to rush Schmeichel back for the cup final, or stick with Sinisalo if Kasper isn't 100% fit by then? For me, I think Sinisalo needs to keep playing. He's done well. He's played 6 games for us. He's doing well. He's proven that when Kasper does move on, it's there. I want Kasper at 100% before he comes back because, yeah, I know he lost his position through injury, but it's one of those ones where I don't want him coming and then coming in too soon, doing something, setting himself back where he's out further, and then he misses the start of next season. We're already down Jota. So I'd rather stick with Sinisalo, let him finish the job, and then we'll just see how it goes. We've got some comments here. So Heavy Vibes are saying, don't rush Kasper. And then we've got the Craigie White, stick with Sinisalo. Pete McGee, I think Kasper is an honourable man and we'll wish Sinisalo well continuing as number 1. And then it's why risk an unfit keeper, 100%. So, yeah, I think we're all the same thing here, that we keep Sinisalo in between the sticks until we know what's going on, get Kasper back fit and healthy. But, yeah, it's Smell the Glove saying Sinisalo has done nothing wrong, and then tying that back into leading up to the cup final, rotate the squad. There's 3 games left for it. So do we rotate some players in and out? Like Paul Galante is saying, give Johnny Kenny a go. According to the guys I was at the CSC with on the weekend. One of the guys there played against him when he was over in Ireland. He's he's a bit of a psycho on the field. He doesn't mind kicking people and he's really quick too. So the way I look at it is the next two games I'd probably be looking at, because we've got a game on Saturday, then we have a midweek game and then a game on the weekend. So what I'd be looking at doing is go, all right, next two games, rotate some players in and out just to get some minutes into their legs if they haven't played much, or to rest people up. So Adam Meader's doing well, but give Dazen a game off and give Johnny Kenny a go. 100% would do what Paul's saying. And then on the wings, do you give Yang a start? Do you give Jamesy another start? Do you rotate like that? Now, I'd keep playing Ralston, let Alistair Johnson recover. I'd be looking at going, okay, let's put Scales and Trusty together and rotate CCV out for a game because he looks like he's carrying a bit of a knock. I'll be doing a bit of that rotation. Give Engels a game off, Hatade a game off, just rotate. So not necessarily a game off, but put him on the bench. Someone plays 60, they play 30. The next game they play 60, the other guy plays 30. And then use the last home game of the season on Trophy Day as the dress rehearsal for the cup final the following weekend. That's how I'd be tackling it over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure Brendan, he's on the big bucks. He understands it all. It makes sense. Pete McGee saying we can give both keepers a game in the cup final, problem solved. Well, we got 5 subs, so yeah, why not? Say if Sinisalo starts, Casper's on the bench, he's not fit enough to play a whole game. You get to, say we're up 4-0, and then you get up by 4 goals, 5 minutes to go. You could put Casper on for that. And Smell the Gloves saying, use the next 3 games to rest guys like CCV, Here's anyway, Mater. Play hungry players desperate for a cup final start, or at least for the 16. Yep, exactly. That's what we got to do. Last little thing I wanted to chat about before we talk about the game on the weekend is Derek McInnes is being linked with a move from Killy to Hearts. Now, I think this is an interesting thing, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because we know how much McInnes loves whinging about Celtic. But the only reason I thought McInnes would leave Killy would be to finally take over at Rangers. Like this off-season, that's where I thought it would happen. So it's going to be an interesting one. See how that plays out. If McInnes does end up there, who goes to Killy and all that sort of rubbish. But yeah, Square Sausage Mix comment here is absolutely got me here. Play Casper up front, he's due a goal. Could do a lot worse. Or play the Bricky there. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to do, like keep an eye on things and rotate the players. But yeah, on the weekend, we've got a game against Hibs at Celtic Park. Going into the game, as I said, it's going to be one where I hope there's some rotation. General thoughts are Hibs are in some good form, so it's not going to be an easy one. So I wouldn't be like doing 5 or 6 changes at once, but at the same time, you do need to rotate some players in and out. So I'm just trying to have a look at the at Hibs' form over the last few. So just bear with me a second while I wait for my phone to load that up. So last 5 for Hibs. Oh yeah, it doesn't really help because it's gone to after the split. But yeah, they're like, I think they've won like, of their last 21 matches, they've won something like 14 or 15 of them or something like that. So they're doing really well. I want to rotate players, but if we make too many, then we're there to be got at. So yeah, I want to be watching I want to see some changes, but I don't want to see too many for this one. It's a midweek game after that. I wouldn't be as much concerned about. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Key areas for us to focus on will be I want to keep a clean sheet. I want to see some good wing play. I want to see the middle of the park. I want to see the dynamic with, say, if Kelmack's rested or if Engels is rested. I want to see how Bernardo blends into that mix. And yeah, I'd find it interesting as well to see who gives us that bit of extra depth on the wing because, yeah, Simon from Denny's just said in the comments, I'm thinking Kenny has played on the right on the wing in occasion. He has, and so has Luke McCowan. So either of those two could help on the wing as well. So it'll be an interesting game. I'm thinking we'll win the game probably 3-0 is what I'm expecting as my score prediction. Or 4-1. I think it'll be a 3-goal margin. But it's going to be an interesting match just to see the lineup. Give us your score predictions in the comment. But yeah, Pete McGee's saying we're forced into making changes because of all the injuries. But if we do more than that, then we're in trouble. I think you got to play 5 games for a winner's medal now. So if it's still the same way, so he's there or thereabouts. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm thinking starting lineup, going to go on an absolute tangent here. It's going to be Sinisalo in goals, Ralston, Scales and Trusty, and then Taylor. Middle of the park, Kelmac, Bernardo, Hatate. Up front, we'll go Ida. And then we will have Mader will play this one and get a rest midweek. So it'll be Dazen on the wing and Jamesy on the other. So that's how I think we'll go out there. Square Sausage Mick. There we go. We've got, Smell the Glove saying 2-1 Celtic due to the team changes. Henrik McLaughlin saying we'll defo concede. Square Sausage Mick made this comment though. Just an idea. But don't you think Celtic Football Club, the manager, players, coach and staff on the board should always from now on call the Huns Jobby FC and interview press, etc.? Don't know, mate. I think that's a little bit it's a little bit too obvious. I like a bit more subtlety in the things, like on trophy day playing simply the best when we get number 55 and we're well ahead of them, so we actually get our hands on the trophy. So things like that, taking a Rangers song, yeah, but calling them Jobby FC, that's a bit unfortunate. I'll still call them the Lavy Drinkers and stuff like that, and anything in the banter years is fun. So yeah, go from there. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I know it's a shorter pod than usual. Don't want to waffle on and waste all your time. Appreciate the support. If you haven't done so, hit the like button on this. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Check it all out. But at the end of the day, final thought, champions again, ole ole. Cheers everyone. Hail, hail.